Hello everyone, Kurt Alford here, and welcome back to another episode of Whole Feather Labs. Today we're going to be talking about three of the low guards in which Fiore talks about. These all have a common factor as far as being the right foot forward, and they are the Porta di Ferro Mezzana, the Dente di Cingaro, and then the Dente di Cingaro Mezzana. There'll be more to follow up here in the next couple of minutes, but I want to introduce as far as what we're going to be covering today. Keeping in line with this concept of reciprocal guards, like I said, that's a Kurtism. I wanted to explore this deeper and understand why we have three guard positions that may be the same thing in a certain direction. And this video is going to look at as far as a possible reason, at least that I'm finding, as to why we might see three of the same kind of guards, but with different foot and hip alignment. So with that being the case here, we're just going to see what we find out. The commonality in all three of these postures is that the right foot is forward and the sword is towards the ground. Each one of them has the hips a slightly different position. And while these are all in different directions, I believe they have a commonality in them. We are going to explore that. Fiore advises that all three of these postures attack from below. This means they use the Sotani line. The Sotani line strikes upwards and stops at the eyes, and then cuts back down or lingers. Each of these achieves this end state with a different level of hip rotation. This means that we have a different power displacement depending on what the situation is. Another aspect of these three positions is the tactics in which they play against opponents. The Porta di Ferro Mezzana is said to be able to deploy these tactics at a distance and not get close. The Dente di Cingaro is described as being able to perform these actions and deny narrow play. The Dente di Cingaro Mezzana is also described to being able to do the same things as the Dente di Cingaro. Because of these factors, I believe that the hip and foot alignment differences has to deal with contending with multiple opponents rather than one-on-one combat. Using a static target, we can see just how effective this thrust from the low line is. Regardless of the position, the point goes straight to the eyes and allows for the cut from the right side to come down very easily. As seen here, this may be achieved by just using a stable turn of the feet. By using an accrescimento, we can project this into a thrust into the face. By allowing ourselves to carry forward to this target, it is very important that we first make sure our hands are in place. Once the point has been made, we follow down the track line. Although we talk about cutting, if the point has been placed in, we have to remove it. This is where I believe the fendente line is effective, as it is not just about cutting to a deeper target, but also as a way to clear the sword out of a body. This extraction line allows us to strike the hands of our opponent. This is right in line with what Fiore advises to us. In this right here, I'm demonstrating where my hands are and measuring it to the target. You can see where the strike vector will be. With this in mind, I consider my deep target as a provoking option. Now I lay in wait and extend the point forward to the eyes, just as Fiore says. It is natural to want to cover one's eyes if the eyes are threatened. Should the action of the Sotani draw this, then we fall down with the fendente and we cut the hands. As previously stated, I believe that the difference between hip and foot alignment has to deal with contending with multiple opponents. By allowing myself to do the volta stabile, I can turn between all three of these guards at once, and I'm able to keep the sword in the lower profile. In this regard, I'm contending with opponents that are off to my left. This means I can shift in that direction and allow to have coverage in those spaces. Putting all the factors and mechanics together, we can see just how effective this tactic and movement might be. With every low thrust, the eyes and flinching mechanism that we're trying to achieve allows us to draw to another opponent and cut downwards against them. The simplicity of this action, and then being powered by the hips, means you have greater endurance and capability of repeating it. This, to me, makes a lot of sense, especially if you're facing off with multiple opponents at once. especially when other larger or elaborate techniques might just tire you out. So you can see with this video here that I'm just looking at the commonality factors of the right foot forward low guard. And whether Fiore believes there should be, these can be done left foot forward or not, we don't know. But for me, I wanted to explore based off of his images that he has out there and give a plausible possibility out there, I guess, in regards to why these have such commonality as far as strike vectors and values, and as well as tactical considerations. And like I said in there, the Posta Perspective, it talks about how this can be done at a long range and I don't have to get close for it. And then you talk about the directional, how it is capable of denying narrow play or close range or whatever that interprets to you. And of course, the last one, how it does the same thing as its predecessor. To me, these all signify out an importance of tactical strategy and that you're trying to utilize this mechanic in a way that allows you to function very easily and to be able to effectively contend along a line. With that being the case, he never says anything about this. And I personally think that these are just, again, these are small little things in there that he would have put into the text right here for us to kind of use as we see fit, or for people at the time, I should say, to use as they see fit. By no measure of the imagination am I saying that you can't use this in one-on-one combat. Not at all. I am very interested in mixed arms and mixed armored kind of setups. Right now I'm doing a lot of training with the Lance group that I'm with in regards to how we use mixed arms to create different effects on block formations against us, or how an armored opponent can utilize their armor against lighter armored or heavy armored opponents at one time. So there's a lot of work out there that I kind of look at already in regards to these facets. And because the Dente di Cingaro and specifically the Posta Perspective is the only position in which he shows in his manuscript as being one of the sword and armored guards in the Getty specifically, it goes to show that this is a position here that denies these narrow plays and has other tactical considerations. So because it's low here, and if you've ever worn a visor, you may not necessarily see certain areas below you. So it makes a lot of sense how this thing right here really kind of shuts down actions really quickly. And I find that very fascinating to kind of put this all together. So again, with this being the case here, that's going to conclude this video right here for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, share it. And like I said, I'm trying to put more of this together here in regards to the guards and kind of giving more of these are my hypothesis and the things I'm looking at as far as a tactical consideration and not just a fencing one-on-one. I don't have any problem with it at all, and I'll have more about that when we talk about more one-on-one fighting right here. But I'm really enjoying this notion about reciprocal guards, the Posta Perspective, and how we kind of contend this into a much more dynamic situation rather than just being a one-on-one fight engagement. So with that being the case, I hope you enjoy this. Like and subscribe for more out there, and I will see you again in the next video. And until then, stay safe, everybody. Train well and fight on.